I was filming a show at my homestay, standing by and watching a beautiful couple. I was so excited I couldn't hold it in. Happily, I snapped a photo and shared it with my online boyfriend. Suddenly, his phone kept ringing nonstop. Under everyone's gaze, he pulled out his phone, looked straight at me, and said in a displeased voice, "Do you really want me to date someone else that badly?" "Yeah. I've had an online boyfriend for 3 years." Today, I was thrilled to send him a picture of a rising Hollywood star. "Look, Ethan Carter, this guy has the same name as you." After a while, he replied, "Is it possible, that's actually me?" I instantly shot back, "No way. I've already seen you. Not handsome, actually kind of ugly." A few days ago, I'd ordered bubble tea as an excuse, then asked one of the production staff to secretly snap a photo of him for me. In that photo, he didn't look good at all. Thick lips, darker skin, and he looked at least 8 or 9 years older than me. According to the staff, he wasn't tall either, at most about 5'7". With heels on, I'd be taller than him. At that moment, I just wanted to cry, even thought about breaking up. I've always cared a lot about looks. But after calming down, I couldn't bring myself to end things. 3 years together wasn't fake. Deep down, I really liked him, enough to overlook his flaws. I could only delete the photo and console myself, the staff must have taken the wrong shot. My Viking could never look like that. Then his text came in, just a string of question marks. Why not? I quickly came up with an excuse. They say people with beautiful voices usually don't look that good. The moment I sent it, he immediately tried to video call me on FaceTime. I didn't pick up. He called again. When I finally answered, his proud voice rang out. "Why didn't you dare pick up? Where's your confidence? You already saw me once at the airport. Ethan, you've been back in the States for 2 months now. When are we going to meet?" Thinking of that unattractive face in the photo, I really didn't want to face reality. God, I just wanted to stay inside my fantasy. "Let's talk about it later," I murmured. His voice dropped low, serious. "Emily, say that again." In a tiny voice I said. "Recently, some celebrities have been filming at my homestay. I need to stay home to help out." His tone softened. "Oh? What show is it?" I was about to tell him. "A popular star, Ethan Carter, the same name as you, will be here tomorrow to film a show. I think it's called The Bright Days." He let out a long exhale at the end of his words and calmly said. The next morning, the crew of The Bright Days arrived in our small American town. The show was being streamed live and featured rising actress Sophie White, new star Ethan Carter, 2 veteran actors well known in Hollywood, and a famous entertainment celebrity. The lineup was so impressive that the program became hot news even before airing, with thousands of fans already waiting online for the live stream. When the broadcast began, everyone was present except Ethan Carter. The group sat together chatting. Sophie White smiled sweetly, her voice gentle as she explained, "Carter mentioned earlier that he has an event these days, so he'll join us in a few more days." The comments section instantly exploded. "Oh, Sophie knows Ethan's schedule. They must be close." "Of course they are. Hurry up and come, Ethan." Fans of the Carter-White couple were thrilled, waving their ship flags in the comments. From the moment the show was announced, fans had quickly created a trending hashtag for this couple. Even though the two had no prior connection in the entertainment industry, with a handsome man and a beautiful young woman, they really were worth shipping. Though, honestly, the couple name Carter-White sounded a little odd to me. The first time I heard it, I thought it meant Carter and Carter. Sophie White, as a rising young actress, truly was stunning. Recently, she had starred in The Duke Who Loved Me, a romantic drama I also enjoyed, so I had a good impression of her. I secretly snapped a few pictures of her and sent them to Ethan Carter. "Sophie White, pretty, right?" He replied quickly. "This is at your homestay?" "Yes," I texted back. Then he sent a voice message in his lazy drawl. "You're always there, aren't you? Did they invite you on the show too?" I boasted, maybe because I look good and have a good vibe, that's why they asked me. In reality, the show had wanted a regular person, and since I was the daughter of the homestay owner, I was chosen. He chuckled, "Then I'm really looking forward to seeing you. I'll secretly watch the livestream." Honestly, the thought of him seeing me on the livestream made me nervous. But he reassured me I was overthinking. I kept sneaking photos of the other stars and sending them to him. "You probably know all of these people, right?" He replied. I added, "The one with the same name as you hasn't arrived yet." "Kind of arrogant, huh? I heard he won't be here for a few more days. I'll take pictures for you when he shows up." In his next voice message, he gave a soft laugh. "Who said it would take a few more days? Maybe he's arriving right now." An hour later, Ethan Carter actually showed up. When he arrived, everyone was gathered around the table, preparing to play a truth or dare style game. Sophie White greeted him with a sweet smile. "Oh, Carter, you're here earlier than expected." "Yeah," Ethan nodded, then suddenly turned his gaze toward me. Startled, I immediately looked away, dodging his eyes. My brother gave a faint smile and explained to everyone, the rehearsal ended early. The only seat left was beside Sophie White, so Ethan Carter sat down there. Sophie smiled warmly, perfect timing, we were just about to play truth or dare. But her enthusiasm was quietly brushed aside, leaving her a bit embarrassed. Suddenly, Ethan turned lazily toward me and asked, "Who is she?" Almost by reflex, I lifted my head and met his deep, dark eyes. My heart skipped a beat. I was about to explain when Sophie quickly jumped in. "She's the daughter of the homestay owner, Emily Tran." He looked at me, his lips curling slowly, his voice filled with amusement. "Oh, Emily Tran." Ethan only repeated my name once before saying nothing more. Sophie gently called me, "Emily, could you grab a few bottles of wine? We'll need them in a bit." I unconsciously sighed in relief and obediently went to fetch the bottles. On the way, I secretly snapped a few pictures of Ethan Carter and sent them to my Ethan Carter. "This is the Ethan Carter who shares your name. Look, sitting next to him is Sophie White. Don't they look like such a perfect pair?" I placed the bottles on the table. One was put in the middle for the game. Whoever the bottle pointed to would have to accept a challenge. One of the famous entertainers, who also doubled as the host, led the game. He spun the bottle first. Lucky me, it pointed straight at me. I chose truth. Since I was just a regular person, the host didn't make it difficult. He simply asked, "Do you have a boyfriend?" Blushing slightly, I answered honestly, "Yes." Then it was my turn to spin. The bottle landed on Sophie White. Excited, I thought, the audience is going to love this. Quickly, I asked her whether she wanted truth or dare. She smiled and chose truth. As a good audience proxy, I couldn't resist asking what everyone wanted to know most. "Goddess, do you have someone you like?" Sophie nodded. "Is that person here?" I pressed. She laughed lightly. "That's already the second question." Beside her, Ethan gave me a lazy glance. I pretended not to notice. On the livestream, the comments exploded. "This girl knows how to ask. Haha, maybe she's a Carter White shipper." Totally, she just needs to ask if Sophie likes Ethan Carter directly. "Come on, girl, do it next time." We continued playing. One of the veteran actors spun the bottle, and it landed on me again. After answering a simple question, I spun the bottle once more, confidence surging. "Watch carefully, ladies," I whispered to myself. "This time it's going to land on Sophie White." The bottle slowed, inching closer and closer to Sophie. My eyes locked on it, anticipation building, until it passed her and stopped squarely in front of Ethan Carter. My breath caught. I asked, "So, truth or dare?" Ethan's eyes locked on mine, sharp and magnetic. His voice was low and steady, yet carried a pull I couldn't resist. In that moment, I felt something unsettlingly familiar about his voice. But I didn't have time to think further, because he had already chosen truth. Which meant I had another chance to probe. This time, I was bold. I asked directly. Is the person you like here? The room went silent. Ethan Carter stared straight at me without blinking, then drawled, yes. The whole place erupted. Oh my God, amazing. I even noticed Sophie White's face flush bright red. Looking at the two of them, it really seemed like they were close in real life. In the room, besides me, there were only two other women, a veteran actress in her late 40s and the stunning Sophie White. Ethan Carter's answer clearly hinted that the one he liked was Sophie. At the same time, the livestream comments exploded. Everyone was furiously shipping the Carter-White couple, and hashtags about them were already climbing the trending charts on Twitter. Ethan Carter and Sophie White, the person Ethan Carter likes. But Ethan himself stayed calm, lazily spinning the bottle again. Slowly, it turned and landed directly on me. He gave a faint smile and asked, so, truth or dare? Because I had just asked him such a tough question earlier, I didn't dare choose truth. Instead, I went with dare. After all, I was just an ordinary person here. Surely, he wouldn't make things too hard for me. His smile widened slightly. After listening to my answer, he said, all right then, kiss me. I froze. What did you just say? Word by word, he repeated, I said, kiss me. I stared at him, both confused and embarrassed, my eyes locking with his. He didn't look away. His deep black eyes bore straight into mine. Sophie White broke the silence, trying to laugh it off. Carter, stop joking around. You're scaring Emily. But Ethan didn't back down. He leaned casually against his chair, arched an eyebrow at me, and taunted. What's wrong? You don't dare? I glared at him, thinking, this man is merciless. If I kissed him, the comments would surely tear me apart. And besides, why should I kiss him? He wasn't my Ethan Carter. I already had a boyfriend. I couldn't possibly do that. So I said bluntly, forget it. I'll drink instead. I grabbed the bottle in front of me, poured a full glass, and said, here, I'll punish myself with a shot. Is that enough? I was about to drink when Ethan stopped me. No. Pour me a glass instead. I'm sure your boyfriend won't mind, right? He deliberately emphasized the word boyfriend, his mischievous expression almost teasing, with a sly tone that felt oddly manipulative. Obediently, I walked over and filled his glass. He raised it and downed it in one go. The comments section erupted again. Wait, could it be that Carter actually likes this ordinary girl? No way, he's just messing with her. Didn't you see? He didn't even let her drink. That's pure gentlemanly behavior. Look closer, his eyes are full of emotion when he looks at her. I didn't read the comments, so I had no idea people were starting to suspect something else entirely. The game continued for a little while longer. After the host delivered a few sponsor lines, the livestream cut to a commercial break, giving us a 5-minute rest. Leaning back in my chair, I quickly sent a message to my Ethan Carter. What are you doing? Why aren't you answering my texts? Then I added, let me tell you something, the guy who shares your name is such a jerk. He even wanted me to be attacked by the whole internet. After sending that, I realized my words were a bit harsh. After all, in the end, he had changed the dare so I didn't have to drink. Because of that, I withdrew the 2 messages I had just sent. I'll take some pictures of them and send them to you, okay? Beside me, someone's phone kept buzzing with notifications. I looked up and saw Sophie White talking to Ethan Carter. But he wasn't looking at her, he was staring intently at his phone screen, his brows furrowed. Honestly, even with a frown, he looked ridiculously handsome. I quickly turned away, sneaking a few shots of him with Sophie and sending them all to my Ethan Carter. Ethan Carter and Sophie White, don't they make a perfect couple? I think Sophie really likes him. Haha, actually, they're such a great match. Handsome man, beautiful woman. Come on, just make it official already. If they went public, this show would blow up even more. I kept sending messages nonstop. On his end, Ethan Carter's phone kept buzzing too. I glanced at him again. He was staring at his screen, his expression growing darker and darker. Then Ethan suddenly lifted his head and looked straight at me. That gaze made me panic a little. I was about to turn away when he spoke, his voice filled with displeasure. Emily Tran. Do you really want me to date someone else that badly? The entire room fell silent. Everyone stared at Ethan in shock, then shifted their eyes to me. I was so stunned my mouth dropped open wide enough to fit an egg. My eyes darted from Ethan Carter to the phone in his hand. His voice, it sounded so familiar. I remembered his words, "Is it possible, that's actually me?" If even now I couldn't figure out who the Ethan Carter in front of me really was, then I must have been truly stupid. He was my Ethan Carter. In that instant, I finally understood why my Ethan sang so beautifully, because he was a famous singer. We had met when I was a college freshman, just as gaming buddies. Every day we played together and chatted. Over time, our feelings deepened. I once asked him if he wanted a long-distance relationship, and he said yes. During calls, I discovered his voice was mesmerizing. I fell for him completely because of that voice. He often sang for me. Just a month ago, I even composed a song and sent it to him. He promised that one day he would sing it back to me. All these years, he had been overseas, so we had never met in person. We had never even video called, mostly because I was too shy. 2 months ago, he returned to the States and suggested meeting, but I kept putting it off. Now, sitting under the spotlight, I knew exactly what I should say, and what I shouldn't. Ethan Carter leaned back in his chair, his handsome face clouded with darkness. I picked up my phone and quickly sent him a message. Don't be mad, okay? I didn't mean it, I didn't know it was you. He looked at his phone but didn't reply. So I sent another sticker, a kiss emoji. This is my apology to you. His lips curled slightly as he finally texted back. I'll accept your apology, but this isn't enough. When dinner time came, to keep the livestream authentic, we had to shop for ingredients and cook ourselves. Our homestay had a kitchen, but no supplies. Since I was familiar with the area, everyone asked me to lead the shopping trip. Anyone want to go with Emily? The host asked. The room was quiet. Suddenly, Ethan Carter stood up. I'll go. I glanced at him, my heartbeat racing. Part of me was excited, part of me nervous. Were we finally going to have some private time together? But before I could even savor the thought, Sophie White jumped up. I'll help too. And just like that, my first chance at being alone with him slipped away. I led them to a supermarket near the homestay. Plenty of cameras followed us, though of course they focused mainly on the two of them. We decided on an outdoor barbecue, piling our carts with ingredients. When we were done paying and about to leave, Ethan suddenly turned back inside. Sophie and I waited near the entrance. A few fans recognized Sophie and asked for photos. She happily agreed. To avoid being caught in the background, I stepped aside. At that moment, Ethan came out, walking straight toward me. In his hand was a large box of strawberries. He handed it to me casually. I looked at him in surprise. He raised an eyebrow. You said you liked them, remember? My cheeks grew warm. I whispered nervously, but, we're live streaming right now. Other people are here too. You only bought them for me. Viewers might misunderstand. He tapped a finger lightly against my forehead. Misunderstand what? There's nothing to misunderstand. Still, I worried. What if people criticize you? Maybe you should buy them for everyone instead. But Ethan leaned closer, his voice low so only I could hear. I only buy strawberries for my girlfriend. The word girlfriend made my entire face burn red. I lowered my head, unable to argue. Meanwhile, the livestream chat was exploding. What are they whispering about? Somebody tell us. Couple Carter White shippers are heartbroken right now. Time to disband, guys. No, keep shipping. It's not confirmed who Ethan likes yet. Come on, he only bought strawberries for that ordinary girl, pretty obvious who he likes, isn't it? When Sophie finished taking photos with fans, some of them asked Ethan for a picture too. Before he could respond, Sophie spoke up brightly. Sure, how about we take one together, me, you, and Ethan? The young fan beamed. Really? Thank you, Miss White. The fan stood to Ethan's left, Sophie stepped to his right, and I instinctively moved back half a step to stay out of the frame. I was about to walk away and wait for them to finish, when Ethan suddenly reached back and pulled me toward him. Join the picture, Ethan said, not at all polite as he pulled me between him and Sophie White. Right at that moment, the photographer snapped, capturing Ethan Carter holding my hand while Sophie's smile froze awkwardly at the corners of her mouth. The photo was immediately projected onto the livestream screen, and the comments section exploded again. Some anti-fans mocked Sophie for trying too hard to get close. Others accused me of chasing attention. But there were plenty who suddenly started shipping me with Ethan Carter. By the time we returned to the homestay, the others had already set up the barbecue station, only waiting for us to light the charcoal. The two senior actors, one male and one female, sat relaxed. The older actress smiled kindly and said, "Why don't you young ones handle the grilling? We'll just wait to eat, if that's okay." No problem at all, Sophie White answered sweetly. But soon I realized Sophie didn't know how to do anything. Since we had bought mostly pre-marinated skewers, there wasn't much prep involved besides grilling. In the end, it was Ethan Carter and I who took charge of lighting the fire and grilling, while Sophie, not wanting to stand idle, occasionally flipped a skewer or two. After a few tries, she seemed to gain some confidence and said with a bright laugh, "See? Grilling isn't that hard. Ethan, let me handle a few skewers like this." Ethan replied casually. The grill was large enough for the three of us to stand side by side. Meat sizzled on the rack, fat dripping down into the glowing coals, sending up sudden bursts of flame. I quickly flipped two skewers in my hands to keep them from burning. Ethan reached over to help steady them for me, even praising, "You're pretty good at this." "Of course," I said with a grin. As the fire calmed down, smoke rose thick and heavy. I leaned toward Ethan and whispered, "Look at this smoke, it smells amazing. I love how barbecue always carries that smoky flavor. Just be careful it doesn't get in your eyes." "Greedy little foodie," he teased under his breath, making my face flush red. I said nothing more, focusing on the skewers. The two lamb skewers I was grilling were finally ready. I brushed on seasoning and brought them over to the older actors chatting nearby. "Thanks for the hard work," the host said warmly. I smiled. "As long as everyone enjoys the food, it's worth it." One of the veteran actors tasted a bite and nodded. "Delicious. Young people these days are so skillful." Just then, Sophie suddenly yelped. She tossed her skewer back onto the grill, turning to Ethan in distress. "Carter, it's burning." Ethan gave her a lazy glance. "The fat just dripped into the coals. No need to panic." I added reassuringly, "He's right. It's okay." Her skewer was already charred at one end. I reached over to salvage it, but Sophie shoved me aside. "Let me do it myself." "All right," I said gently. "Just be careful, don't let the smoke get in your eyes." But before I could finish, she was already coughing, eyes watering from the thick smoke. She tossed the skewer back onto the flames, but by then it was burnt black. I simply picked it up and dropped it into the trash can nearby. The comments rolled in nonstop. "Poor Sophie, she's even tearing up from the smoke. So sad, she just started learning piano, don't let her hands get burned." Whispering here, "Doesn't Sophie seem a little clumsy? What's wrong with you haters? She's an actress, not a grill master." Your bias is showing. This ordinary girl is quicker on her feet than the actual hostess. Pfft, she's just some small-town girl. Knowing how to grill isn't anything special. Sophie's hands are made for piano, not barbecue skewers. In the end, Sophie White sat with the older actors, leaving just Ethan Carter and me at the grill. "Emily, can you check if this potato's ready?" he asked. I looked at the slice in his hand and praised, "Perfect, it's crispy, just the way I like it." "Then this one's for you," he said smoothly. "Thanks, Ethan." He added, almost too casually, "Don't mention it, Emily." I wasn't sure if I was imagining it, but his tone sounded a little teasing. After we finished grilling everything, we all sat down together at the table. It was late spring, the weather pleasantly cool under the moonlight, not too hot, not too cold. We ate skewers, chatted, and occasionally raised our glasses in toasts. The atmosphere was perfect, until Sophie suddenly turned to me. "Emily, have you graduated from college yet?" "Yes," I said, "about 6 months ago." "And you're not working?" "Just helping run the homestay?" "Not exactly. My work is pretty flexible." "Oh." She didn't press further, but then asked with a sweet smile, "You're so pretty, you must have a boyfriend, right?" I froze a little. If I remembered correctly, I had already said I did. But before I could answer, she continued, "If you don't, I could introduce you to someone. There are plenty of handsome guys in the industry." Just then, I felt a hand squeeze my left hand resting at my side. I almost thought Ethan was seriously joining the conversation, but then his grip tightened. I replied calmly, "It's fine. I already have a boyfriend." I guess Sophie must have forgotten. "Oh, right," she said awkwardly, "maybe I've had too much wine. My head's a little fuzzy." I thought the subject would drop there, but Sophie asked again. "Emily, your boyfriend, he's not in the industry, is he?" That question nearly made me choke. Ethan Carter had only recently risen to fame, and of course he couldn't reveal publicly that he had a girlfriend. I was about to deny it when Ethan spoke first. "I already heard her say it, her boyfriend is in the industry." I blinked in shock. Sophie's face stiffened, and she dropped the topic altogether. After the meal, the host suggested, "How about our star Ethan Carter sings a song for everyone?" Ethan smiled. "Sure. But I'll need someone to accompany me on piano." The host chuckled. "I heard Sophie's been learning piano recently." "Don't tell me it's just to accompany Ethan?" Sitting right next to him, Sophie blushed, smiling shyly. She didn't deny it, only said, "It would be my honor to play piano for Carter." Sophie White walked toward the piano not far away. Ethan Carter reminded gently, "The song I'm singing tonight doesn't have an accompaniment track." Sophie froze mid-step, her smile stiffening. "Your song is so popular, I'm sure we can find the backing on a phone." "I'll be singing a new song," he replied. That instantly left Sophie with no way to accompany him. She returned to her seat, face tense, while the host looked delighted. He had never heard anything about Ethan performing a new song on this program. In fact, when the show first invited Ethan Carter, his manager had agreed, but Ethan himself had refused, so firmly that he was even willing to pay the penalty fee for breaching the contract rather than appear. The show originally planned to announce in a week that Ethan couldn't join due to his tour schedule. Who could have guessed he'd show up today, and even bring a brand new song? Given Ethan's current popularity, this would boost the program's buzz tremendously. The livestream comments exploded with excitement. His fans flooded the chat, the viewer count spiking rapidly. In my heart, I had a strong hunch Ethan wanted me to accompany him. And sure enough, his teasing voice confirmed it. "Emily, would you play the piano for me?" The host, quick to sense the story, jumped in, "Wait, this new song doesn't even have sheet music, and Emily can still play it." Ethan nodded. "She can. Emily wrote this song herself, so of course she can play it." Just as I suspected, he was going to sing the song I had composed for him, the one called My Love. The small garden of the homestay was warmly decorated, now covered with blooming wisteria. I sat under the cascading flowers, my fingers gliding over the piano keys, while Ethan Carter sat beside me, singing the song I had written for him. He had once promised he'd sing it for me himself, and now, he kept that promise. In that moment, my heart soared along with the melody dancing beneath my fingertips, bright, joyful, alive. The song was a sweet love ballad, filled with youthful passion and energy, the kind of song young people adored. After it ended, it didn't take long before the track shot up the trending charts on Twitter. Along with it, Ethan Carter and I became a hot topic. Most of the comments were full of praise. Meanwhile, Sophie White's fans, and those who shipped her with Ethan, fell silent. Ethan's fans, however, joked in his same teasing style. One of the most liked comments read, "Where are Sophie's fans now? You said her hands were made for piano? Well, Emily's hands too. Except Emily can not only play piano, but grill meat as well, haha." The show streamed live from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. After that, it was rest time for the artists, with no cameras filming. By then, the two senior actors and Sophie White had already headed to a nearby hotel to stay the night. Ethan Carter, the host, and the remaining cast stayed overnight at my family's homestay. After returning to my room and relaxing with a warm shower, I noticed I had a missed video call from Ethan. Instead of calling back, I opened Twitter to check the trending topics. To my shock, within just a few hours, online detectives on Twitter had already concluded that the person Ethan Carter liked wasn't Sophie White, but me. Some details about my identity had even been dug up. Since I had nothing to hide, I wasn't too worried, so long as it didn't interfere with my real life. Clips of Ethan and me had already been cut out by fans. The captions on the videos were dripping with sarcasm. "Look at your beloved Ethan, smiling bitterly, eyes glued to Emily." I couldn't help but tap play. Just as I was watching, another video call from Ethan popped up. This time, I accepted, but covered the front camera and switched to rear camera mode. As always, his low voice came first. "So what's this? We've already met, and you still don't dare video call me?" I stayed silent. He teased again. "Shy?" "A little," I admitted softly. He chuckled. "What's there to be shy about? You weren't like this before. On calls, you used to be bold, even a bit arrogant." "I was not," I protested. "Come outside for a bit," he said suddenly, changing the subject. Caught off guard, I hesitated, but eventually agreed. The others had all gone to sleep. I tiptoed downstairs, guided only by the soft glow of my phone's flashlight. Before I even saw him, I heard his quiet laugh. "Emily Tran, what are you sneaking around for?" The courtyard was lit with warm lamps. I followed the light and spotted him sitting on the wide wooden swing beneath the wisteria arbor. As I approached, I whispered, "Everyone's asleep." I didn't want to wake them. Ethan stood up from the swing and gestured for me to sit. I obeyed quietly, perching on the swing while he remained standing in front of me, his figure haloed by the moonlight. I tilted my head to look at him, he looked right back at me. After a long silence, he asked, "Beautiful?" "Yes," I breathed. Even more beautiful than I had imagined, his face was everything I had once pictured, and more. "Didn't you say a good voice usually means an ugly face?" he teased. "That was just, in general," I replied. He smiled faintly, then began recalling the playful chats and messages we used to share on WeChat. Finally, he asked, "So? Still nervous?" Only then did I realize, he was trying to ease my nerves. My heart warmed, and I nodded. "It's better now." I added softly, "I just didn't expect to meet you so suddenly, let alone that you'd be a public figure. So yes, a little nervous is unavoidable." By now, I had completely relaxed. We've known each other for almost 4 years already, what's there to worry about? Ethan Carter chuckled softly, ruffling my hair. "That's better, Emily." "Why do you keep calling me Emily Tran like that?" I teased. He arched a brow. "Didn't you also call me Mr. Carter in front of everyone?" Catching the hint, I laughed playfully. So, you don't like it when I act all distant, huh? You're overthinking it, Emily Tran, he replied. I tilted my head, challenging, still calling me Emily Tran? There are only the two of us here. What will you call me then? Ethan suddenly leaned closer, his breath tinged with wine. Baby. Gripping the swing with both hands, he made it sway gently. My hair brushed against his fair face as we moved, making me blush deeply. Of course, he'd often called me baby during phone calls over the past 3 years, but hearing it directly from his lips like this sent my heart racing. Why be shy? Haven't I been calling you that for 3 years already? He teased. But we've only just met in person, I protested. So you're saying the last 3 years don't count? Of course they do. I blurted, face hot. He smiled softly. Exactly. Those 3 years we shared are real, even without physical presence. Our love is real, sweet and genuine. Then, more seriously, he asked, do you mind that I'm a public figure? I thought carefully before shaking my head. I don't mind. I only worry our relationship might affect your career. That's fine then. He sat beside me on the swing, which swayed lightly under our weight. I'm a singer, not a celebrity. I sing. If people like it, they listen, if not, they don't. I don't care about the rest. You really do have a strong mindset, I said softly. You're not like the others in the industry. He turned to me. So I don't mind if people know about us. But what about you? Emily, do you mind making our relationship public? I looked back at him just as seriously. I don't mind. His eyes lit up instantly. Then let's go public. You're sure? Absolutely. All right then. Tomorrow, let's announce it tomorrow. Tomorrow, I agreed. Suddenly, Ethan scooped me up from the swing, spinning me around before setting me gently on the ground. His hands rested firmly on my shoulders, his gaze locking onto mine. Emily Tran, I love you. I'll love you forever. The sincerity in his voice shook me to my core. My arms instinctively wrapped around his lean waist. I wanted to say, I love you too, but the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I only tightened my embrace. He held me even closer. In his arms, I suddenly remembered, back in our first year together, I had once asked him why he never said he loved me. He had laughed softly over a voice message then, saying, Emily, words this important, I'll only say them to you face to face. I thought he had been joking. But now I knew, he had been dead serious. The next day, during the livestream, Ethan Carter held my hand and openly announced our relationship in front of all the viewers. That single gesture stunned the entire production crew. And thrilled them beyond measure. Twitter exploded, and during a commercial break I sneaked a look. New trending hashtags had popped up. Ethan Carter goes public, reality show turns into a dating show, Sophie White and Ethan Carter. What made me happiest was that most of Ethan's fans sent their blessings, even helping me fight back against a few anti-fans. I nudged Ethan with my elbow. Your fans are pretty sweet. He clasped my hand tightly. If they weren't, today would have been the day I left the industry. Don't say nonsense. I'm not. Wherever I sing, it's the same to me. When the month-long reality show finally ended, my parents came straight to the homestay. Sweetheart, is this the boyfriend you met online? My mom asked, glancing at Ethan standing beside me. Yes, Mom. It's him. She leaned in close and whispered, didn't you once tell me he was ugly? Mortified, I covered her mouth with my hand. Mom, please. Keep your voice down. Ethan chuckled. So, Emily, I'm ugly, huh? Misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding, I stammered. Not long after we went public, I met Ethan's assistant, and realized he was the same person from that secret photo a staffer had once snapped for me. At that moment, I decided I'd keep that little mix-up buried forever. Soon enough, Ethan had completely won over my parents. He even persuaded them to agree to meet his parents the very next day. The following afternoon, in a daze, I sat in a restaurant waiting for both families to meet. My parents had arrived early, Ethan's were on the way. Ethan never let go of my hand. "Baby, don't worry." "I'm not worried." "Liar." "I just need to use the restroom," I said, slipping away. He offered to come with me, but I shook my head. As I stepped out, I unexpectedly bumped into Sophie White. She was as stunning as always. The moment she saw me, she froze, then quickly stepped past me. "Hello, Mr. Carter." "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Carter." What a coincidence. Instinctively, I turned back. Standing there was a refined middle-aged man and a graceful, elegant woman. The man looked at Sophie and asked politely, "And you are?" "I'm Sophie White, Mr. Carter. I previously collaborated with your company. This time, regarding the endorsement contract for the Skincare 30 line, I believe I'd be a great fit. I'd like to recommend myself for consideration." The man smiled faintly. It wasn't clear if he remembered her, but he replied, "Miss White, is it? Today, I'm here for a family meeting. Let's discuss business another time." "Come on, Mr. Carter, I think it's this room," the elegant woman said, guiding him toward the very room I had just left. So, these were Ethan Carter's parents. I was still stunned when Sophie White stepped closer and sneered, "Emily Tran, feeling proud of yourself, aren't you?" I blinked at her in surprise. She continued, "You're nothing but someone clinging to the Carter Corporation." Her words confused me for a moment, though I quickly understood what she meant. What I hadn't expected was that someone like Sophie, elegant and radiant on screen, could say something like this to me. The image I once had of her as the leading lady in The Duke Who Loved Me shattered instantly. I didn't hold back. "The Carter Corporation? So that's the reason you think I'm holding on to Ethan Carter, isn't it, Miss White?" Her expression darkened. "What did you just say? At the start of the livestream, weren't you calling him Ethan this, Ethan that, acting all familiar? But I heard my Ethan didn't even know who you were." "You, cheap woman," she spat, raising her hand to strike me. But I caught her wrist before she could. "Come on now, keep acting. Isn't that what you're best at?" I shoved her hand away and, with disdain, wiped my own as if to rid myself of her touch. At that exact moment, Mrs. Carter's warm voice came from the doorway. "So this is my future daughter-in-law? Strong-willed indeed." My mother added proudly, "I told you already, my daughter isn't someone who can be pushed around." Mr. Carter chuckled. "Rest assured, in our family, our daughter-in-law will never suffer injustice." Then, turning to Sophie, he said firmly, "Miss White, your company will never again collaborate with ours." My mother smiled. "Hearing that from you puts me at ease." Just then, Ethan appeared, opening the door. He took my hand. "Let's go, baby. I'll walk you to the restroom." I froze, glancing from him to the group that had just been standing by the door. Only then did I realize. They had all witnessed everything. Later, after leaving the restroom, I couldn't help but ask him, "Ethan, weren't you afraid I'd get hurt just now?" He shrugged casually. "Of course I didn't want you to suffer." I was about to step out, but your mom stopped me. She said you could handle it, and that we should just enjoy the show. That's definitely something my mom would say. Ethan smirked. Looks like my girlfriend's been hiding her talents all along. His sudden closeness made my cheeks burn. What talent? I thought. It's just a few years of martial arts training, nothing more. Meanwhile, our parents chatted easily inside, clearly enjoying each other's company. They liked us together so much, they even brought up the idea of an engagement. I wasn't ready for that yet, but Ethan wanted it badly. Like our parents, he was eager to become my fiancé. A month later, I finally agreed. All right, we can get engaged. But we'll wait 3 more years before marriage. If not, I'll call it off. Ethan pulled me into his arms, brushing a gentle kiss against my cheek. With a voice as tender as it was mesmerizing, he said, "All right. Whatever you say, my Emily." Resting against his chest, listening to his steady heartbeat, I nuzzled into him softly. I believed with all my heart that the happiness of this moment would stay with me forever, forever. There was still so much time ahead of us. My Ethan.